Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Pastor J North here at the OUC, and this is the Attic, our YouTube youth discussion starter video. In this week's lesson, we're continuing with the story of Nehemiah, his leadership, his attributes, and Pastor Kevin, man, is going to come and share with us a kind of a testimony, man, about his experience teaching Bible. I too taught religion, Bible in school before, so I can kind of identify with what he felt in his experience. But listen, check it out. Listen to Pastor Kevin, and then I will be right back.
I took an year off as a student missionary during my sophomore year of college. I went to Beirut, Lebanon to be a Bible teacher at a Seventh-day Adventist high school. But although the school was Adventist, most of the students were not Adventists. Most of them were not Christians at all. So this made teaching Bible quite challenging. It was so hard that after just a month of teaching, I was ready to just pack my bags and go back home. On most days, I would feel so exhausted and overwhelmed that I would literally just puke. I remember going up to the rooftops in the dorm that I was staying after long days of teaching. And from that vantage point, I was able to see all the way up to the coast, but also the buildings and the houses. And I went there for one purpose. I went there to talk to God, but not necessarily in the way that you might have guessed. You see, my friends, I would cry out to God. I would literally cry out to God and just ask him to show up. I would question him and ask why things were so difficult. I took him seriously when he says to come boldly to the throne room of grace, and I took that, and I just emptied out everything in my mind to him. I poured out to him my hurt and my confusion and my frustrations. If somebody else would have seen me at the rooftop, they would have thought that I was maybe shouting at someone, or like I was just really mad. This experience in Lebanon reminds me of what Nehemiah went through. After the exile in Babylon, Israel was scattered, and the temple in Jerusalem, their most important place, was in ruins. So the people reached out to Nehemiah, an Israelite who was working in the Persian king's court. When Nehemiah heard what the people were going through and he saw what they were talking about, the Bible says that he stopped and he wept, and for days that he mourned and fasted for God to show up. Nehemiah's name literally means God has comforted. So his first course of action was to go to God in prayer, the source of all comfort, even when there were so many things around him and so many things inside of him that was not comforting. If you read the rest of Nehemiah's story, you'll find out that prayer was not a substitute for hard work. The Israelites, with the leadership of Nehemiah, they worked prayerfully, keeping God at the forefront of their mind and leaning on him for wisdom and guidance. And as they worked, God blessed them. My friends, to pray is to simply approach God as if you're approaching a friend. And we know that when friendships deepen, our trust grows. And with more trust comes openness and honesty in communication. So when our relationship with God continues to grow, our trust with him grows. And as our trust with God grows, we become more honest and open with him. We begin to now tell God what's really going on in our lives. We begin to now tell God how we really feel about certain situations in our lives. It's like how when someone asks you how you're doing, you say, I'm good, fine, just without even thinking. But you know that with certain friends, you don't have to do that. With certain friends, you can be honest and open and tell them things like, no, I'm not doing well. As a matter of fact, I think I've had a rough day. So in the same way, my friends, like as we grow in our relationship with God, we become more honest and more open with him. And that's exactly what Nehemiah is doing here. Fast forward to my last week of teaching in Beirut. My friend Don, who was another student missionary, and we decided to prayerfully craft a series of messages, actually one message, and invite these kids to follow Jesus. And it was crazy because, we thought leading up to that point that nobody's going to pay attention. People are probably going to mock us for making an appeal. And it was crazy because the last day when we made the appeal, we saw close to about a third of the student body raising their hands as in a way to say, yes, I follow Jesus. So my friends, I invite you to pray today. I want you to really pray today, to pray boldly, to share something with God that you haven't felt comfortable sharing with Him so far. Because when you truly open yourself up to God, it may not necessarily always change the situation or the thing that you're praying for, but I can tell you this, it will definitely, most certainly change you. And as you change, you begin to notice that God never left your side, that He has always been with you, and that it will lead you and guide you every step of the way, just like He did with Nehemiah and just like He did with me in Lebanon.
Yo, Pastor Kevin, thank you, man. Thank you so much, man, for your transparency, for your honesty, man. Listen, sometimes you just got to go there with God. You just got to, you know what I'm saying, forget all the other stuff, go to a place where you can just be real, you can be honest with God. And just like Pastor Kevin encouraged us in Nehemiah's prayer, listen, guys, it's not about trying to show that you're better than anybody else. It's not about trying to impress anybody. Man, sometimes you just have to be real with God, and God can handle anything that you're going through, and God can handle anything that you tell Him. All right, so don't be afraid to just pour out yourself and your heart to God. Listen, that's our lesson this week. And man, I hope you enjoyed this video. Listen, like and subscribe. All right. So I'm Pastor Jay North. This has been the OUC Attic, a teen's time in church youth discussion starter video. Peace.